Hello and welcome along to Podium with Hannah England, Richard Newman and Katie Smith in partnership with Morton and with Tracksmith. And I wonder who's the most tired this morning. I'm going to guess Hannah, who's just flown back from the States. I'm actually impressed. You're in really good form considering how much traveling you've done over such a short period of time.
It was whirlwind. Flew in on Wednesday, came back last night or this morning. No, yesterday. But I think I've said it to you guys, but I went to university there in my 20s and I freaking love the place. So that just cut through any fatigue. Turning every corner I went around, I'd see a friend, I'd see a teammate that was organising the event, I'd see someone I knew. So I am exhausted, but totally cupful from everything.
Aww.
Yeah, getting to go to a World Champs, getting to see all my bridesmaids that I've not seen since 2017. That was very, very special. So I'm all good. I'll probably crash tomorrow, but I'm all good today.
Straight into single parenting as well, right? Because
exactly. Yeah. No, that did curtail the partying. Yeah, because my husband stayed out. Stayed out. I was like, he could go out late because he can recover in Tallahassee. But yeah, straight into some single parenting. But it's all good. It's all good. You guys okay?
Yes, good. What am I doing? I'm recovering from one of the longest football matches I've ever watched in my life. What was I doing? FA Cup on Saturday. Newcastle against Bournemouth, which so many times should have ended in normal time, then so many times should have ended in extra time, and then we went all the way to penalties, and it was about minus 8 million degrees. I don't know if either of you been to St James's Park, but it's very cold up there, but very exposed where you're sat for the media. And I genuinely think now, I say this every single year, genuinely think that's the coldest I've ever been watching sport.
Because I used to go, because I worked on COVID testing the Premier League during lockdown. And that was the coldest I've ever been, sitting in football stadiums at this time of year. When they were I was like, is it because there's no other fans? It was literally just us lot, staff sat there, no body warmth.
That was a weird experience doing reports and commentaries when no one was in the stadium. The best bit about it was because you could leave straight away and there was no other cars around,
traffic,
you could escape.
Yeah, but you don't have to do the post-match either because
you weren't allowed near them.
No, you weren't. just a camera in a press conference room, wasn't it? That's all you were allowed.
At least you had the atmosphere in Newcastle then, even if you didn't have the temperature.
I mean, it's an amazing stadium. Weirdly enough, I'd only ever been there to watch rugby league when the Rugby League World Cup was here in, I think it was 2022, wasn't it? And so to actually watch football there, and considering Newcastle are in a really good spot at the moment, the atmosphere was amazing. But I wish atmosphere came with a level of warmth, because really a raucous crowd does not warm your feet.
Genuine warmth, not just atmosphere warmth. It was just a note on Tallahassee, proper heat wave.
Was it?
Yeah, it was 24 degrees, generally 96% humidity the day before the meet.
Wow.
It was actually really tough conditions, and not what you'd normally expect in January there, at all. Welcome break for me from the snow and everything we had in Birmingham, but it was actually I think it was quite extreme in the end.
I've been sitting in a booth basically all the time. So I'm on the under 23.
So you've been warm.
Yeah, I'm in the under 23 Asian Cup at the moment. And that is just one match after another. I did a match Friday evening, a match Saturday morning, a match Saturday afternoon. I didn't have any break between them really, so just in from one commentary to another. On top of that, doing some bobsleigh and some skeleton ahead of the Winter Olympics, and then the end of this week it's into the Australian Open tennis as well. So there's a lot going on. Trying to keep my head in all these different sports whilst trying to figure out what's going on in this one. So I guess only one place to start though, isn't it, in the cross country? And it did look great fun out there, Hannah. And you got some fantastic performances. I don't really know where you want to start, to be honest.
I think it would be with that course, because it was all this. There were AI images floating around kind of just before Christmas. You kind of think, what are they on about? Some alligators, some water, some this, that, and actually the course in reality, I think it was brilliant. There's frustrations around the fact I don't think we got to really show it fantastically with the pictures that we had. I think the way it was filmed made it look a lot flatter and a lot easier than it actually was. There were rolling hills. It was very energy sapping, and I think the obstacles were actually really, really good. And I think it totally broke up the rhythm of the athletes, and the atmosphere as well. There was I know we've had tremendous crowds at World Cross. If you look at Mumbai, it was Mombasa. It was in Mombasa. It was in Kampala. It was in Edinburgh. And the passion you get for cross country in those venues. But I think in terms of like an American crowd, the atmosphere was really wonderful. There's beer. There was music. There was everyone. A lot of my college teammates were there, and they had a fantastic day. Like they said, it was just wonderful. And I do think, we got the high quality, like the sharp end of the races was really good. I think that weather, I think the humidity and the heat killed off a lot of the athletes from that kind of the non-African nations that you might have expected to step up. I actually think a few of them, if they respected the humidity a bit more and paced it differently, they might have been all right, because there were some athletes that did that. But yeah, I think it kind of made the African nations look even better than they are.
It was a long day for you as well, just like on a personal perspective, wasn't it? Did you enjoy doing all the commentary?
I did. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think we've all done it. We've all done long stints like that where you gotta be tactical with your hydration.
Treat it like a race.
And you know what? My one, I did. I also treat it like a race. I treat everything like. The one thing that did totally scupper me was my only snack break. I got Kenenisa Bekelian to come do a cameo. Which is awesome. It was absolutely incredible. Just had him for like 5 or 7 minutes, and then he left, and I thought, oh no, like that was the only moment I had to eat anything, and now the men's race has started. So that was my only, like I would have commentated with you guys, like you don't have to eat throughout, like I have to eat, else my concentration goes. And it was
I'm the same.
Yeah, I have to just graze, but it was awesome.
Yeah, that is a weird thing, isn't it, actually? We realised all about our own eating habits when we were all working together in Tokyo. I don't really eat anything through till I'm done.
You're like, do a whole morning's commentary, go on a run, and then start your food day. And I'm like, how?
It's not sensible, I don't think.
No. I can't do it. I've got to just nibble the whole way through. So, but no, it was.
That's
was
a good
fun.
guest there, wasn't it? You say Bekele was there. Was Beatrice Trebek there, wasn't she?
She was there. She didn't come and She didn't come and join.
Obviously, she didn't run. No.
And obviously, as is the curse of the commentator, you didn't see. I only saw pictures of Beatrice Trebek afterwards. I was like, I didn't know she was there.
Yeah.
Well, so what was Bekele's take on stuff? Did he have a few?
What did he say?
If you can remember, you're in a food haze.
It wasn't a food
Jacob
haze.
Kiplimo's never going to be as good as me and match my record.
Yeah, he said, 27 medals. That's what he said. Mic drop.
Has he got 6 cross-country golds, Bekele? Is that right?
11.
Golds?
Yeah.
Individually?
No, I think that's, 11 individual golds.
In cross-country?
Short. Yeah, short, because it was short and long. You used to be able to do back-to-back. Consecutive days. But yeah, 27 got medals overall. Like, this is obscene. But the only thing he did say is he thought Biniman Mahari would be okay. Because I didn't know what the cross-country credentials of Mahari would be. And they were pretty good. He was 6th. So, yeah, he kind of thought the team medal was good. But, it was nice. It was nice to have company for all of 7 minutes.
It's not important. This isn't really an important question, but the one that interested me the most at that course was just how blue that water was.
I know.
What did they put in that water to make it that blue? I don't think I want that in my mouth. That's for sure.
No. There was lots of
splashing up.
There were lots of pictures of lots of talk of people daring each other to drink it after the event and this, that, and the other. I think it was the Citius guys. They were kind of saying whoever came last out of their team had to go and drink like a thimble of swamp water.
Yeah,
no, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is if they hadn't coloured it, it would have just been like brown.
Yeah,
so it was
grim,
I think that perhaps did look a bit gimmicky, but again, when you think of the alternative, would have been kind of mud brown. Wouldn't it be great?
Yeah.
And so we should get into the races, but you've kind of touched on it, and I don't know how much we want to talk about how it all was sort of displayed if you were watching the broadcast. And I guess going into the races, then we can talk about, do you think there were moments, Hannah, where key parts of the race were missed because of camera angles and things like that? I mean, did it disrupt your ability to tell the stories as well?
It did. We had I think it's a custom built cross country course, and that sounds fantastic, and it was a fantastic course. And it was only sort of when I was reflecting afterwards that, of course, you build a custom made cross country course for high school and for domestic cross country, and you don't think, we need a lane for a buggy. And it is that sort of thing. I think what we missed from what we're used to on that level of cross country is that buggy alongside that shows you how fast they're going, shows sort of the pain on the face, the moves when someone's about to get dropped and everyone behind's grimacing. Like we didn't have a lot of that, and and I think I don't know. We haven't had a kind of a team debrief yet, but I do think there were some issues. There were some cameras we were expecting to use that didn't come through, and that can be that. Who knows what goes wrong with? There's always issues with that sort of stuff, and then also the confidence to have drones with those trees around and with athletes that are going so quickly. It's super hard to sort of drop a drone down and run alongside an athlete. It's the last thing you want to do is hit an athlete. But it was great advert for Tallahassee, and if you want to go running in Tallahassee, because it showed you really how beautiful all those woods were. But you're right, Katie, I feel like we missed some moves and maybe missed some of that atmosphere.
What do you think from a viewing experience for it?
Yeah, I think there's obviously some bits I think where we were really missing with the roller coaster at the start, which was what it's called, like the big ramp that went up and went down again. We sort of saw them go up and then never saw them come down it, which was a kind of strange one because it's one of those first real challenges on the course after they've flown off at the start, where things can start to change, or someone could struggle, or they could trip, or whatever. Whatever happens, it wouldn't have been captured. So that felt like maybe one that might have been one of the cameras that didn't go right. 'Cause it doesn't make sense to not have something on the top or something coming down. I think the trees were probably an issue because it meant that the drone can't get that close. So that's a problem. I just kind of felt like to me, it looked like a fantastic event to both be at and compete at. And I felt like I was kind of missing out. It's kind of like you're getting
Did you have FOMO?
Yeah, a little bit, because you're kind of watching it going like, this looks like great fun, but I'm not necessarily enjoying the experience myself. Does that make sense? So I wasn't getting the whole picture.
Do you not think it was translating over?
Not really. I mean, I could see that everyone was having a great time. It was but it was more the fact that when you felt like you could really get into the race, you would miss things that you need to know what's going on, and I think that's not Hannah's fault. That's just because of the pictures that we were getting, and it was, I don't know, it's kind of like you can compare it to like race walking, right? And I know it sounds like that, maybe this seems like the most obvious comparison, and the reason why I say that is because you have looped courses on a race walk where you can have fixed camera positions, and you can have a drone, and you can have a Segway, someone on a Segway or something. And the difficulty of, you can't use that so much on a cross country because you're putting use your Segway, someone's going to go straight into a tree. So obviously you can see that that's not really a possibility. So maybe it needs lots of fixed cameras, but then you're kind of like, where do you stop? If you just put fixed cameras in a widey course, you're always going to miss something. So it is a really tricky, you look at the European cross country, which is so compact, so lots of twisty twirly things. And it's called, looks more like a pump track, like in cycling, or do you know what I mean? It looks
like
more
one of
like
those bike cross type things.
Yeah, cycle. And that's easier to
Cyclocross,
that's easier to cover than a more expansive course like we actually had in Tallahassee, which were probably really good for the athletes. Parts of it looked really good. You kind of got the potential of the fact it looked really good and it could be really good, but we couldn't really get the whole experience. So I don't know if that's so much of an issue with the coverage or whether it's just the course. Sometimes you've got to look at what it was a different kind of course. I think the athletes seem to enjoy it, everyone else there seemed to enjoy it. You enjoyed it, Hannah. It produced some good racing. It's just that we didn't get the whole experience.
It does throw up some of the complications around cross country in general, and I think we'll go into this a little bit more before we wrap up the whole conversation. But how do we make this a super attractive thing to both viewers, athletes, and broadcasters? And it does throw up challenges, doesn't it? Because it's a totally different way of broadcasting an event, as opposed to exactly what Rich was saying with things like race walks, but more simplistically, like doing it on the track where they can't really get out your sight.
You're not going to miss anything.
Yeah. So I just wonder if that, again, it's not like they can't do it. There's so many events that work in these ways, and road racing is like that. But it's just interesting kind of aspect to it all, isn't it? Should we talk about the men's race first then?
Yes.
Jacob Kiplimo writing his name into the history books. I mean, what a run! What an impressive, commanding performance once again. I mean, we just shouldn't have doubted him in any way. I mean, we didn't really, did we?
How early did he start his celebration, by the way? I seem to remember he came around the corner. He still had how long left?
Probably 200 meters.
He was just smiling and celebrating. It was so easy for him in the end, and he didn't even. He just sat for half the race, didn't he?
Yeah, no, I think he was absolutely sat in. He didn't put a lot of effort in until probably the last 2K lap, and obviously someone came up to me straight afterwards and said, "Oh, what was Kiplimo's last K?" And I was thinking, I haven't got a clue. I'm too busy trying to. yeah. When you're that's the other thing. If you're on your own, you haven't got time to think about splits in a cross country race. But I did go back, and he finished his last 2K was well under 27-minute pace. He was absolutely flying, and like with the roller coaster and with the obstacles, and he almost. Yeah, he looked ordinary, and then he got to that last lap, and he looked superhuman. And I think Aragari sensed the danger, maybe missed the break ever so slightly, but then there was nothing he could do about it. Like Aragari was head down, he was closing as hard as he could. So yeah, hat trick to match John Ngoni, Paul Turgat, Kenenisa Bakili. Or not match them, they've still got a long way to go to match what they did in their career. But he said that after Belgrade, Kiplimo, he said, I want to try and match these guys. I want to try and rack up cumulative titles and go down as one of the greats of cross country. And yeah, you couldn't argue with that.
He is starting to, though, isn't he? And but I also think there's a great piece on the World Athletics website where they're looking at what he's now doing for Uganda in terms of how we have to view them as they were the kind of disruptors of the Kenya-Ethiopia domination, and now they've come to the party and they are staying at the party. They're like the unwelcome visitor that just won't go.
Well, they won the junior women's title.
Exactly, and that's what I mean.
First time it's ever not been Kenya or Ethiopia.
And you look at the Kiplimo effect and Cheptegei and all of that, and how that's impacting it all.
Really and Joy Cheptegei getting the silver in the women's race. That's the first ever individual medal the Ugandan women have had in the senior race. And we talk about the African dominance, and we can touch on it, the fact that there weren't as many European athletes there. But Uganda haven't been put off by that dominance of Kenya and Ethiopia. And it's been a slow and steady build, sort of as you say, led by Cheptegei, followed up by Kiplimo. And they're starting to encroach on that dominance that we've seen from Kenya and Ethiopia. And I don't know, I'd hope that would inspire a whole load of other nations to say, like, we can get involved. We can kind of battle it out with those two.
I think it's as well. Kiplimo's only 25. He's only just turned 25.
Yeah, how is that possible?
And he's just achieved so much already. And he's the one who's talking about. He's straight back to marathon training now, isn't it, for him? And he's basically confirms that he's doing London pretty much. He said afterwards, I think I'm doing London. So I think we probably means he's doing London. So, yeah, exactly. So he'll be. So that's what he said in his post race quote. So it looks like that's where he's going. And he was second last year, and we saw him produce an incredible performance in Chicago. And he's just getting better and better. And I think I do feel for Aragari. I just don't know when he's gonna. I think he's gonna be one of the most popular gold medalist if he ever gets there. I think everyone just feel happy for him that he's actually got it. I think I counted 5 global silvers now, but 7 if you count the junior career, if you put the youth Olympics in there too. Poor guy is never, and it's just like, you look at his stats and it's just lit up in silver. It looks very pretty, but it doesn't have the gold that he wants. It's very consistent.
Was the closest he came was Nanjing, probably, wasn't it? Like nearly out kicking Ingebrigtsen, and you wouldn't have thought that was his best shot. You would have thought one of these was, but I think he looked pretty happy in the end. And I think it was a tough day for Jimmy Gressier. I think that was an interesting thing to watch. And he said in his post-race interview, it was kind of a strange one. He almost said, like, I've got to stop. He didn't say celebrating, but he just said there'd been a lot of distractions since Tokyo.
He's got to stop, basically. He's got to slow down, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's got to slow down off, away from racing and training. He needs to stop saying, I think he's basically saying he's been too much of a yes man. He said yes to too much stuff to please too many people since he won the World Championship gold, media commitments, all that kind of stuff.
I feel like we don't talk about that enough. Like, that's a really interesting aspect to it. It's not like him getting distracted by negatives and parties and the attention and the glory and the media, but it's more like, oh my god, I've got to sort of live up to my potential now, and I've got to give everyone a piece of me because they do want it, but you can't give a piece to everyone.
And it's so hard though, because you want to build your brand. Like he's just done in Tokyo for Gressier, such a high. And you want to capitalise on that. But he said, someone asked him in the press conference, David Monti asked him, what was the difference last year that got you to that gold medal? And he said, I only missed 5 days of training. in that build up to 2025, and that's insane for athletes. That does not happen when you consider illness, injury, travel, everything. So we've only missed 5 days, and then you kind of go like, well, I wonder how many days you've compromised since September till now. And you won't know till you zoom out for another 3, 4, 5 years. Like, if his career goes the way he hopes, no one's going to remember he got beaten at Eurocross and he was down the field in 15th today. No one's going to remember that, but he does right now.
I mean, it's interesting. But I mean, you look at also like how his over the last where are we at 13th of January recording this. So the last 6 weeks, I think we've sort of had the same conversation with Gressier where we didn't know whether he was going to compete at Eurocross or whether he was going to compete at World Cross, and he was sort of like he was always leaving things quite late to like he got straight back into training again, did some road races, then said yes, I'm going to do Eurocross, and then we didn't know about World Cross. Yes, I'm going to do World Cross, and no, I'm not really going for the individual title. I just want to bring home a team medal for France. It feels like it's not been on the fly because that's not how you really work as an athlete. But he hasn't been set those last few months to certain goals. Like he's had ideas of what he could do, and then hasn't been able to. I think because of all the commitments and what he's come off of, maybe he hasn't been able to completely commit.
Yeah.
Do you think as an athlete as well, I don't know about him specifically, but there is a bit of an insecurity where you win something that big in Tokyo and there's that lingering voice saying like, I don't want to be that one hit wonder. I don't want to be the guy that is now going to fade away and no one remembers. They go, oh, that was pretty cool when he won it, but like he never backed it up.
There is. And I think if you look at most of our endurance stars, they won't be worrying about that for another few months because they've measured they're recovering. I know we saw Batacletti at Europeans, but she didn't come here. Cole Hockers, Beatrice Chebet, for other reasons with the pregnancy, Faith Kipyegon. Like, there's so many people. They don't come and lift their head up for the cross country. They're recovering emotionally and physically. And I kind of, that's we're going to talk about where this sits in the calendar and how I think it is better for not clashing with the majors in the spring, not clashing with World Indoors. I just think right now in 2026, we've got a lot of very tired pros. And yeah, Gressier finished on a high with this string of consecutive major championships, but he's still been on that roller coaster that all these other pros have been on, of champs after champs after champs. And yeah, like I love that he turned out for his team, but I'm also not surprised that he's not firing on all cylinders emotionally or physically. Like you can't. Do you want to
talk about that now then, in terms of where it fits? And I just wonder what the solution is, because lots of big names missing. Some out of the fact that they're not available, but we talked about in the preview, didn't we, about how many nations weren't even here. And I just wonder where you think it does sit in terms of priorities, because it is a world championships, it's a of cross country, you can go and win a world title. And I think even if you look at the USA, we were talking off air before we started this, it's in Tallahassee. It's the start of the season. It's an off year if you're not a European or a Commonwealth nation. Yet, if you were to name the American dream team for a home World Championships, that's not it for the USA. It's way off it.
So missing Hocker and Fisher, aren't you? And yeah.
So I just want just as just a few, but like if you were to name a dream team, it's nowhere near. You've got people like Nikki Hiltz or someone like, people that can be there too, right? You can keep on going, but it's just that those people aren't coming. So I just wonder where it is in people's priorities list, and whether there is a way. Like, the calendar is so, we've got new events like the World Ultimates, and it's so difficult. So all these new things keep popping up, and the breakaway things like Grand Slam Track and Athlos and all that. So where do you put it? Or where's the best place to put this?
I think this is the best place, and I think the problem with cross country, whether it's 2K, you're totally right to highlight Hiltz and a lot of stars missing that mixed relay. Hats off to Australia for turning up and smashing it.
But that just shows, doesn't it? Because that is that was completely loaded with big names. It's the only one that was.
If you're, and I think it's what we've seen from Jimmy Gressier here in this. Like, if you're not 100% and you come to cross country, you're so exposed. I think if you go and do a 10K on the road and you're slightly off, that will be reflected in your time, and it's kind of proportional. Whereas you come to cross country and you're not ready, it's very, very exposing, and you can almost have a much worse performance than you're actually in shape for. So I think that's why I see a lot of pros saying, I know cross country's hard. I've done it in college. I've done it as a kid. I'm not doing that unless I can handle it. And I think that's always going to be the case with cross country, and that's partly the honour of doing well at cross country. Is one of the toughest things. So I think the point in the calendar is fine. I think January is better than March. I think for solutions, I'd like to see 3 to score, because then I think you get a few more nations involved. Because if you need 3 to score instead of 4, you might only travel 4 people. And then suddenly you get a few more nations saying, we'll bother, we'll care whether we can come in the top 10 as a nation. I think that's one solution.
Well, the flip side is you could also not put it near the beginning of the season, and you could run it off the back of a major championship season, couldn't you? You could run it in like October.
Nah, because then I think no one will be in shape at all. Even more so, they'd feel like I'm not going to go and get. You'd be getting the people that
because you could go one step further and do it. Like that's where the road champs have been scheduled, for example, over the past. It hasn't worked out that way because it was cancelled. They're super close. Yeah, like a week later.
They're super close. I think that's okay. I think super close is okay. But when you go multi-terrain like this, like Jake Whiteman is out there training in Tallahassee, but he had a look at the course and he's like, I'm not confident I'm robust enough for that. And I'm going to pick up an injury. And I think it's set to in October. Everyone,
But would he have felt more like that in October or less?
Yeah, I think even more so.
Really?
Yeah.
At the end of the season.
Yeah, because you're running on fumes.
You can argue the same thing either way, can't you? I'm not ready enough, or I'm overcooked. So
so I think you're running on fumes in October, and the last thing you want to do is go run something really hard, like it.
But we're going to see it though, Hannah. We're going to see. Again, whatever happens with Athlos is definitely going to be there in October, November. People are going to have to start running hard to take that seriously.
Yeah.
Because it can't, unless it's
Rose is September, right?
Exactly. Yeah, Rose is.
That's okay.
But then you've still got athletes who are coming off of a track season, and then they're having a couple of months off, and then they're turning up in at some big 10K in December or something, or a half marathon or a marathon. So. But
look, if you have, I think this is the best time of year.
People going around in circles.
But indoors. You know how indoors sometimes.
Just going to take some notes.
Yeah, one thing goes wrong indoors, and people can the whole season. Because ultimately outdoors is most of, and I think that's what we're seeing here. Like someone, I don't know about Battlecletti, but if she had a small issue after Europeans, it's a very easy decision to say, no, not doing it. And that happens with indoors as well. People can be great at the start of Feb, pick up a niggle, and we don't see them at World Indoors because they don't want to. So I think it's the best time of year. My only other solution is we used to have it that it was an A standard for the World Champs if you finished in the top 20. And that kind of backdoor to World Champs, that's been moved to the cross country tour, and I think it worked better having it here, and that's an incentive because you look at the likes of Brian Fay, Parker Wolf, Jan Shrub, a lot of men that were in the top 20 in Tallahassee. If that was now an A standard for a major champs, not applicable this year, but if that was an A standard for Worlds or Olympics, then you're going to incentivize more people to come as well.
I would agree with that, and my only concern, I quite like it in January, but it feels like a little bit of an island on its own. And I just think if you're a casual athletics fan, I think this weekend would have passed you by somehow. I don't quite know how to explain it, but it didn't quite feel like it had the hype and a build up. It sort of came from nowhere a little bit.
It doesn't fit with the whole build up to World Ultimate Championships that we're talking about. Yeah, the whole thing of putting the big track thing in September at the end of all the leagues and everything like that. You're right. It does just stand in isolation.
And you're only just seeing the indoor season start to kick off quite slowly. So it still feels like a pre-season event almost.
But then I think you just got to have it. You'd want every other nation to have their continental champs in December and then the world champs in Jan. Then we'd start getting, you start saying, oh, that happened at the African champs a month ago. Let's see if it can be different. And the Europeans. But I don't know.
Quick word on Australia then in the relay. Just amazing.
Amazing. Just literally amazing. And I said it on commentary, but how nice to see Ollie Hoare bouncing away. It's been really hard. I love how open he was in Paris about sort of social media abuse and how much that affected him. But you Australian record holder, Commonwealth Games champion. You'd think I'm just going to bounce from podium to top 6 and everything, and it's just not happened for him. And like that, he just looked so happy and he ran really well. And Lyndon Hall was from FSU, she studied there as well, and it was really nice to see her win on a home course. It was just a masterpiece, and they all wanted it as well. They all really wanted to turn up, and the French did as well.
It was in the hall, wasn't it? That kind of took it away, I think, from everyone else. That kind of that really set the tone. It was difficult. No one could come back from there. It was her leg that just transformed things for Australia.
You know, she made part of the course.
Do
you know
what do you mean she made it?
Linden Hall was like on the back part of that course as a student, like hacking down reeds.
Oh, literally.
Like pouring the blue dye into the water.
We're talking like a decade ago when the course was built.
She's the one
like,
who can
Linden
tell us
was...
whether it's drinkable or not.
Yeah. She was carving those alligators.
Yeah, I was going to say woodwork.
Chiseling away.
Yeah, she majored in woodwork at Florida State.
We've not mentioned any British athletes yet, have we? So in terms of relay, 7th place for GB. In terms of how they attack the race, I mean, could they have wiggled their way up a little bit further, Hannah, in terms of tactically how it worked out and played out?
I think they all just gave it what they got. I think this event is getting very competitive, and we've seen it at Eurocross as well. We dominated that the first few years, and then a few other nations have got involved. And I actually think France were off the podium in the Europeans, and they got a silver here because they bought a really, really good squad. Their nation was really behind it. Yeah, I think the 4 that ran for us in the relay did very well. I think if we look at the Brits across some of the other events, I think they got the conditions wrong. I think we
in
saw
what sense? Oh, you mean like with the heat and stuff?
Yeah,
humidity.
I think, like I said, like if you'd woken up and seen 27 on your phone for your weather, you would have raced in a very different way. And I think everyone saw 23, 24 and didn't then read the humidity and make the adjustments, because really brave running for sort of Megan Keith and Rory Leonard to try, and they positioned themselves really well. But the pair of them they were just weaving down the finish line. It was horrible to watch. These are very experienced athletes. And Wayne Kalati in the women's race for America as well. It was really there were a few other people that got it that wrong as well. But it was a real shame to see them trying to do something really ambitious and get it wrong when there were a lot of other athletes that got it right. So I think the Brits outside of that relay were really affected by the weather. The juniors as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We talked a while about just the dominance of Jacob Kiplimo. Not sure we've spoken much about Agnes and Ngetich yet, have we? That's
a very good point. Sorry.
Well, no, we're doing it as a topic, aren't we?
We're going in a very strange. We're meandering like a cross-country course. You know?
Yes.
Oh, there's the alligator. Watch out.
Ngetich just.
There's almost not much to say because it was. No. But that's all. But that's kind of just shows how remarkable she is. Over this discipline, isn't it? The fact that it was so easy, that it was so dominant, you kind of like breeze past it because it was so straightforward, but actually you kind of have to marvel in the excellence of what she managed to achieve.
And I think we won't know till she turns up in a half or a 10. I don't think she's got plans to do a marathon yet that I've heard of, but I would love it if she, if we could have had a parallel universe where she ran in Valencia this weekend. Because I think, and had she won this title before, I don't think she could have made it. Yeah, she could have made it, yeah. There were a lot of travel difficulties, actually. We all struggled a lot with their travel. A lot of reroutes. But yeah, I think, who was it? It was Marcel Hug, wasn't it? To the insane turnaround from Zurich to one of the marathons.
Went from, Hug went from, he went to Sydney. So he literally had like a couple of days. He went into Diamond League final because it was in Zurich and raced there. And then a couple of days later, he was up at Sydney. Yeah. And he would have been on the plane basically the entire time.
Oh, God.
And he won Sydney.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we'll really know.
Obviously.
Of course he did. No, I'd love to know. I'd love to know what shape Ngetich is in right now, because that was insane. And there was lots of great talent behind. And again, like we won't know, I think, until the track season plays out, sort of how good some of those Ethiopian kind of youngsters were that ended up taking that team medal behind. But I want to say just a shout out to people like Lauren Ryan. Edna Kurgat for States was top 10. That's the first non-African in the top 10 for 15 years.
Wow.
Liani Pompiani as well of Australia. And my athlete of the match for Eurocross, Maria Ferreira. She was the under-23 champion. She's an absolute baller. I think she was 13th in the senior women's. And it was again, it was just perfect. Like, absolutely, yes. I'm excited to see. She is a track age group champion as well, so I think she's sort of one to watch. That I was already looking to see what she'd do, and she delivered as well.
Okay, so final roundup thought then for cross country. Sorry, probably a stupid question. Do we know where the next one is going to be?
No,
we don't, do we?
No,
okay,
and that's the hard thing here. You're going, was this our platform to get into the Winter Olympics? Was this, and again from on the ground, and I got
Not
so
with that humidity.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not holding the Winter Olympics in Tallahassee anytime soon. Generally, I've been there this time of year when it's been -7 at that time of day.
Wow.
Really?
And it was +23. Like,
How
it was
weird.
It was weird, and again, great for my friends were sunburned from spectating, but not great for the athletes.
This will be me in a couple of weeks when I go to LA.
Yeah. It was. There was talk of it. It was talk of it coming back to Tallahassee before it even started.
Laughing
because
at
they
Rich's
wanted.
face. He's like,
I
"Are you going to
can't-
mention why you're
was that-
going?"
And I said, I'm not
Oh,
going
wait,
to entertain
sorry,
it yet.
Katie,
We've got
why are
plenty
you
of
going
other
to-
opportunities to talk about it. It's coming. It's
SB
coming.
ban. She's got
We've
10
only
opportunities.
we've only just finished last year's chat about it, so
No, it's still going.
But it's all right. I still mentioned Jake Whiteman in this podcast, even though it wasn't.
Yeah, that feels
You can't-
slightly
yeah.
more relevant than the Super
Yeah.
Bowl, doesn't it? Anyway, sorry, you were making a
Yeah, I was. What was the point I was making?
point. Something
we
about
don't
sunburn.
have the next. I think
Yeah.
if it gets into the Winter Olympics, maybe we don't do it again to the Winter Olympics.
Mm.
really,
And then
in
people-
that'd be 2030. Is it
Will it?
not
Okay,
meant to be
yeah,
a
we've got to do
2020?
it
It's meant to be a
again. All right.
2029, isn't there? At least that's kind of what they've committed to. But we don't know where it is.
Yeah, we don't know where.
Wouldn't
but-
it be fascinating, though, if it does make the Winters, how seriously it would then get taken? Like, that would be
I think
quite
it would get
exciting.
I think it would be taken incredibly seriously.
It would change it, wouldn't it?
seriously.
That is the
Yeah,
game. That is the game
completely.
changer.
Well, because there's a lot of cross country specialists that would struggle to be an Olympian in the summer. It's
Yeah.
very but I've got mates that have excelled at cross country and never matched that on the track,
Mm.
and they'll be coming out of retirement. So
Well,
this is my
yeah,
chance.
and,
to become an
imagine
Olympian.
the sort of leveler and the equality sort of aspect of seeing nations like Ethiopia, Uganda, and Kenya winning medals at the Winter Olympics. That's
I
amazing.
researched before. I
That'd be
don't
awesome.
think there's been an African medal yet at the Winter Olympics. Ever.
Not even a North African in anything.
Nope,
No, you're
Not
probably
that.
right.
Yeah, I did a quick. Again, this is only sort of
South
surface
African,
level.
maybe.
Yeah, no, yeah. Even when I was prepping it, I could not
Okay,
find.
yeah. We should triple check
Um,
that, but that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you guys need to.
Not that I
triple check
doubt
it
you.
for
I
your-
was just thinking for my
No,
own
no.
prep for the Winter.
Well, yes, as you guys go into Winter Olympics prep, but that would all change. You guys can just harp on about cross country and when you're commenting on bobsleigh.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
no, it was good fun. I loved it. Like you said, Rich, I think the real party was probably there in person.
Mhm.
And I think
Would you be surprised if we don't? Just because we said about when's the next one is 2029. Would you be surprised though if another one is dropped in over the next few years? It wouldn't be a big shock if they
it wouldn't
put
shock
one
me.
in.
No.
It's not
I
there
think-
yet, but you wouldn't be a surprise, would it?
No, it wouldn't be a surprise. No, I think there's some big teething problems with the road running champs, isn't there? Like with it not happening last year. So I think it's probably a similar team sort of figuring out that sort of thing. I think they'll focus on nailing Copenhagen in September, and then take a step back for those off-track events and kind of see where they're at.
So there's another British woman I'd like to speak about now, and she
yes.
is called. What's her name again? I think she was our first ever guest on this podcast.
Yeah, she was.
Eilish McColgan has retaken the European record. It was in Valencia at the 10K, 30.08. So I think she knocked off, was it 4 seconds? Have I made that up? 2 seconds. Was it 2 seconds? Oh,
Yeah.
where did I get 4 from?
Yeah.
And it was, obviously awesome to see, because I feel like we've kind of had this vacuum of Eilish McColgan in our lives recently. But just to see like the emotion, I saw some quotes from her mum about how much it meant. And I think they, felt like it's been a tough year and everything. Oh, it was just so good to see.
Yeah, it's been this sort of we've had this
Don't all
sort of
shout at once.
No. We've had this seesaw battle recently between McColgan and Van Lent just over the last few years. Jana Van Lent, who took the European records. Was it last week?
Yeah,
I think-
yeah.
So
Was it
lasted
really?
last week. So Jana Van Lent has had the Yaron Nagus kind of moment, from last season where Jakob Ingebrigtsen, I think that lasted, was it less than that though? It was like
It's like
4
5
days.
days, I think.
4 or 5
Yeah.
days, wasn't it? the indoor record that Nagus managed to get. And then Ingebrigtsen came back. But yeah, McColgan, just did that determination, that fire, that kind of, we've seen it. She's such a competitive athlete. She found that sort of extra motivation that she needed. And it was really good to see, because I think it's talking about, the tough year. it's kind of, I mean, she had her marathon debut. It was decent, but not what she wanted. Then she just tried. She was meant to do New York Marathon, had to pull out, and so you can see that she's been training really, really hard. And I think to get that reward is just brilliant, really. So McColgan, hats off to her, European record, and what a way to respond. I mean, I wonder what you, as an athlete. Yeah, Hannah, I mean, I know you haven't been a European record holder yourself, but you have achieved some good stuff.
Actually, at the junior 4x800, I generally am, but
of course we remember that.
What do you think she would have thought a week ago when she saw, because it wasn't a massive, like, she wasn't absolutely smashed that record. It was very much within her. She would have thought, I'm taking that straight back. Would it given her an extra boost this last week? Was she being itching to get to the start line?
I'd 100, because again, you know it better than me, but I can imagine when you're in the fourth mile of a 10K, you need everything. You need everything you can get, really, to kind of give you that little bit of motivation.
There.
Yeah, what the hell was that? I was like, I don't know what point in the race
are we going to 6 or 7K? 6, 7.
And
now you can tell she's not a 10K runner.
I'm a die-hard, do it by the miles, doesn't matter. Even 6.4 mile race that Eilish McColgan got the European record in. But you need something in there to focus, and you always need something just to focus, to be louder than everything in your body that's telling you to slow down. And I think, I absolutely think Jana Van Lent doing that would have added a little bit for McColgan. I love that Jana Van Lent, though, she was sort of saying, oh, it was windy. If it hadn't been windy, I would have gone sub 30. She already said, she said that last week. So she said,
knock a couple of seconds off, really. Yeah, I'm still really the European record holder.
Well, that's also like Kajelcha's little shade he was throwing at Kiplimo, saying, well, if you put me behind a car, I can break 57. So it's
Kiplimo,
sort of,
I mean.
yes, sorry, Kiplimo,
because because I don't even know if Kiplimo's world record's been ratified yet.
Still not been
ratified
yet,
officially the ratified world record is still Jomef Kajelcha at the moment.
So Jana Van Lent,
your guy,
my guy. It's only like 3 or 4 weeks away till the Barcelona half again. So
get it anyway.
It's going to happen again before it's even been ratified.
But Van Lent is saying she's the weather-adjusted European record holder. So,
yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, maybe Sebastian Sarway can say the same about the marathon from last year in Berlin as well. The hottest marathon time ever. The Valencia 10K. It's not a race I've done before, but it looks great. I'm targeting it next year potentially if there's no other work going on, because it looks like great fun. Everyone seems to have come away with it having a great time, no matter what your level.
Because it was snowing in Britain. I think that really helped as well. It was very grim in Britain.
Yeah. Beers in the sun in a nice Spanish squares sounds pretty good in January, doesn't it?
I love how Hannah's been telling us how grim it is here. So I've been told while I was sunning myself.
Hasn't been like the worst snow in Birmingham for years, and you've missed it.
Yeah, no, I got the beginning of it. And I got 2 days of it. Then
I just want to mention as well, like obviously we're focusing on Eilish McColgan because of her great time, but the race was won by Brenda Jepchirchir, and that was 29:25, joint 5th fastest ever. So that is laying down a marker for the starts of this year. But I also really, really wanted to talk about Alex Bell, because I think
this is amazing.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if you follow her on social media, like following her journey, it's really interesting. And it's like she almost retired, didn't she, basically, from like 800-meter specialist, remember? But the improvements that she's making are really visible, as in, it's following at the moment this like perfect curve, it feels like, at least watching it from the outside. So she was second Brit home, 30:57. She's just turned 33, so she's kind of at the prime for like road racing, I guess. And that's to her 5th on the British all-time list for 10K. So she's still relatively inexperienced at this, to go from 800s to this. So we've talked about Jess Warner-Judd before, and Hannah, about her going up to the marathon distance from 800 meters as well. Are you quite excited about? Are we all excited about watching what Alex Bell's doing?
Freaking blown away.
Yeah.
I'd ranted to you guys about like my motivation levels or like ability to push myself that's just evaporated, and I'm like, Alex Bell's just done a freaking phenomenal 800-meter career and has now come back at it to do that. I think she must have known when she was an 800-meter runner there was always a capacity to tap into something else. And I almost think when you think of someone like Alex Yee, like if he hadn't found triathlon, would he have been a great track athlete. And you're almost wondering if Alex Bell had never like caught a break at 800, would she have moved up? You're kind of wondering, like Jess Warner-Judge, if Alex Bell had moved up distances, kind of an Olympiad before, like what would we have seen from her? But I still think she's got time to do something.
Yeah, it's plenty of time. And circumstance as well, not just that. It's like circumstance. You look at Tigis Sefa, she's she's one of the best marathon runners in the world. She was a world record holder. She was an 800-meter runner, and only moved to the longer distances because her Achilles could not take track spikes. That's basically it.
Yeah. No.
And I think there's something about what you were saying, Rich, about the quietness of it all. It's sort of I've always liked her because she's flown under the radar a little bit. And because didn't she made the final in Tokyo, didn't she?
Yeah.
And even then I feel like people forget how impressive that was as that third Brit in the race, and obviously Keely kind of taking the headlines in the end, and Gemma Reekie was the one that everyone was watching to medal, I think, going into the final. But I've always warmed to athletes like that who clearly love what they do so much that they're not there to just be stealing the headlines. And I don't mean other athletes are doing that. It's it's dependent on where they are.
I totally agree. No, I totally agree. And I think perhaps that move away from 800 was kind of exhaustion with being in that pressure cooker.
I do think so, because she's talked about that before, hasn't she? And how it has been a bit of a struggle. And I think also on the flip side of it, kind of to my point, is that I think she's like, I've done all this stuff and I've been actually really consistent and I've been making Olympic finals, but I don't really get the recognition that I probably deserve.
Yeah. That's spot on, Casey, because I think, and I think that's probably a problem that we've got in our coverage of track and field in this country generally. I think the Americans maybe do it a little bit better in terms of celebrating some of the successes of athletes that make finals. That is great. You are top 8-9 in the world. That is pretty good.
Yeah. And I often think about Andrea Sargi in the David Rudisha race in London 2012, and like he PB as well.
Yeah, he was like the fastest ever 8th place.
Absolutely bonkers.
But we do fall into this sort of hero worship of just the top names. Yeah, it's that if you ask anyone about it's all about Keely Hodgkinson at the moment. It's all about Georgia Hunter Bell. It's all about Alex Yee.
The harsh thing is like when you've got someone in your nation that's doing so well. So from any other nation making a final, you'd be absolutely celebrated. But because our like calibration is kind of towards that medal zone, you're right. We totally disrespect other achievements. And my only question really with Alex and this performance is if she feels worn out and done by trying to make international teams and that's sort of, she's trying to have a little bit of fun at this phase in her career. Does a 30:57 give her? Does she want to try and make Commonwealth Games? Does she want to try and make Europeans and I don't know. I don't know whether she's going, no, that part of my life is done.
There's something on her social media which sort of hints that she might be aiming for maybe at least the Valencia half.
Nice.
So she's basically said that hope to be back here again soon. There's obviously Valencia half, Valencia marathon. If she steps up to marathon, and you expect that's going to be the sort of trajectory that she's maybe on. But I just feel like it sounds like little hint. Are you sort of hinting that you're going to be back in October, December sort of time?
But I think she might have run fast enough there to make, say, something like European Team Cup.
Like you say, just whether she wants it.
Yeah. And then you're looking at Commonwealths,
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, like you say, don't want to put too much pressure on someone that doesn't want something if we don't know what she wants. We do have to mention Izzy Fry as well, because she was not far back behind Alex Bell, and I mean it's just the remarkable story I can think of Alex Bell that we're sort of being drawn to there. Men's side,
do it.
And Andreas Almgren, another European record for him, so bettering his previous best by 8 seconds, 26:45. Unfortunately, we didn't have Emil Caress here. He withdrew late due to illness. So we'll wait to see what he does next. And then we were talking a lot about Scott Beattie, how he might break Rory Leonard's British record, 27:38. It wasn't him. It was Joe Wigfield in the end who equals the record. So nailed on just exactly the same as Rory Leonard's, which is a brilliant for him because I don't think he's not properly sponsored. I think he's I think that's right. I don't think he's got like a shoe contract. I need to double check that.
Well, no, I'd be very surprised if Joe Wigfield's full time. I imagine he's working in some capacity to support his ability to train, but he's got such an insane talent. Like he should be backing himself, and it's just sort of stringing together that training without injury. That's what Joe Wigfield needs. And we've seen, he's done tremendous performances sort of on a range of distances. And so I'm not so easily put together some good performances in the last 6 months. So I'm not surprised by that. But I heard Scott Beattie's been pretty sick. That's what I heard. He ran a Steve Cram's race on New Year's Eve. What was it? The Hogmanay Hawaii. It's literally called the Hogmanay Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yeah. Or Hawaii Hogmanay race. So he looked really good there. But he got sick afterwards. So he barely ran between that race on New Year's Eve and then this race on whatever it was, the 12th of Jan. So I think that would be frustrating for Scott Beattie because he still ran well. He still ran a PB, but I think he could have been on for something a lot faster.
Yeah. So really amazing performances by the Brits there. Another mention is for Andy Butchart as well.
I was going to say, please let's not skip that. Yeah.
No, 27:43 for him, and he's had a tough time with injuries, like really bad, and that's a Scottish record for him.
And Alfie Manthorpe
he has had really bad luck.
He's been training with Alfie Manthorpe. He ran well. I'm loving if you're on social media as much as I am, and you've got Jake Whiteman, Andy Butchart, and who's the other bloke I just mentioned? Alfie Manthorpe. Those guys doing a whole lot of stuff together, and it's just back yourself, just stay in the game. And I think like Butchart, I'm so glad that he's got something like this out of the last few years of trying to stick with it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and Alfie Manthorpe's he's only recently really turned into a pro runner, isn't he? So he's only really been able to give it a good shot over the last year or so. I think he won. Which way round was it? He either won the Malaga Marathon last year or won the Malaga Half. He entered into the wrong one, so he got disqualified. so at the end, like he wasn't the official winner. So he followed him the whole way around. I think it was the marathon. He won the marathon, but entered the half, and then he didn't count.
Yeah,
so he wasn't officially entered into it. But that was kind of like the start of what's been a really good year. A couple of things we need to wrap up as well. Can I just highlight Albert Korir? We're going, just going. Well, we sort of start to end on a bit more of a negative. So he's been provisionally suspended, tested positive for a drug that stimulates red blood cell production. There's very little detail. It's provisional suspension, so until we get like the full findings, we don't really know the full details. But it potentially had an impact on one of our most promising athletes, because Korir was third at the New York Marathon. I don't know if you remember how close it was in terms of the sprint finish. The sprint finish at the front between first and second, and a sprint finish between third and fourth as well, which was Paddy Diva, who finished fourth on his full marathon debut. So we got to wait to find out what happens here and what comes out in the wash, and when the test was, what the investigation reveals. But there's a potential here that Paddy Diva gets upgraded to third place, maybe. But whatever it is, if that's the case, he's missed his moment. And it's another big marathon name. I realize not household name, but another who's winning marathons, not so much the majors, but he's a contender for podium places at major marathons. And I can't believe we started the year like this.
No, but don't the World Marathon Majors have a thing in all their contracts, like if you do fail, then you have to pay back the money, and it's pretty robust. I know Diva won't get his moment across the line, but he might get the money.
Which is good. Yeah, which is still good. It's still good, but I mean, it's just it's once again sporting integrity and all that kind of stuff. It's a real shame.
No.
So we have to wait and see what happens with that. But
to continue on a fun theme, another name added to the Enhanced Games 100 meters list as well. Marvin Bracey, who I think is serving a ban anyway until 2028, I'm going to say. Silver medal, if you remember, in Eugene in the 100 and in the relay. And he's now been announced alongside Reece Prescott, who I actually heard talking to the BBC today about his decisions, and once again kind of honing in on the financial aspect. I think he called it, like a good packet that I can, basically set my stall on and live my life and support my family. But the whole kind of tagline that Enhanced Games are going with now that they've got Marvin Bracey is that they're saying we've got 2/3 of the world podium in our midst now because they have Fred Curley as well.
Yeah, but two
Marvin
of them
Bracey.
Two of them been banned.
I'm not saying I agree with it, but
Yeah.
you know, our whole conversation, if you go back, if you missed it, we talked about this last week, and we talked about it not really having any legitimacy unless, say, you were able to start gathering the top guys. That's just what I think is a bit concerning, is they can now, it's not unfactual to say that, and yes, it was a couple of world champs ago now, but it's still a little bit worrying, isn't it, as a tagline, I think.
The issue with the Marvin Bracey one, I mean, it's interesting because you look at Fred Curley. Fred Curley's been banned for whereabouts testing, right? So he's not actually failed a test. So he's chosen to do the Enhanced Games that way. Then you've got someone who is legitimately caught for cheating. So you have tested positive for something, and then you're serving a ban. At that stage, you're kind of like you've gone half the way. You might as well go and join the Enhanced Games as well, right? So you're kind of like you're serving a suspension to go and join the Enhanced Games, because otherwise you can't do anything. Maybe your career's shamed anyway. Maybe you're not going to come back at the same level because maybe you realize that you weren't as good as you thought you were because you needed the drugs. So then go and join the Enhanced Games kind of makes sense. I mean, it's a weird logic, but it's kind of if you're banned, you might as well go and compete and earn some money.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But it's the other ones. It's the ones where you've made a conscious choice. I understand the money. I kind of get that, but it still feels something that's really difficult.
Do you think it also?
It's interesting that he's putting himself out there, though, Katie. Like, you know, in fact, he's actually coming. You know, he doesn't have to.
He's owning Prescott is.
Yeah, he is.
He's owning the decision. Yeah.
Well, and also, but this is the first time I've thought of this. But does it retrospectively make people suspicious of you? Because I don't know if he's now facing questions of, were you clean through your career? I've got no reason to doubt it. I'm not accusing him in any way here, and I don't think anyone else that I've heard has accused him. But does it throw up suspicion? I don't know.
It just your legacy, your reputation. Like that's what I think. I think I don't think it would change my opinion of what I think they might have done in their career. But it's just that Reese has said, that was one half of my career where I did abide by the rules, and drawing a line under that, I'm now doing a different project. But for me, it's like, if you're the integrity of our sport and the pride we all took in competing clean and protecting our sport, I feel like you kind of poo-pooing that by then going and supporting an event that doesn't stand for any of the same things as proper track and field stands for. Yeah, I feel like you're kind of like tarnishing your legacy a little bit. And I understand the money factor, and the biggest annoyance for me with Marvin Bracey getting announced is my like slight little hope that it won't even happen is just getting like quashed and quite So I kind of like, oh, maybe it just won't even happen. And
the field is getting bigger. But the women's side's got like, who's on the women's side? They're struggling, aren't they, to get like the big names on the other side to do something similar. It's only not far off now. They're going to have to start. If someone's going to take part in May, is it? Then they're going to have to start, shooting up pretty soon.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You don't want to sign so late, and then
the drugs don't even.
It sounds like a ridiculous. And I listen to myself saying that. It just sounds so stupid.
I know. No, that's like. Oh,
better get on with it. If you're going to be a drug cheat, better do it now.
You want to? Yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe they'd pay them less if they haven't started. Like, well, because
you're only 50%, Jack.
You're only 50% steroided. Like, you're actually not worth that much to us.
Should we finish on a positive,
please?
Callie Horga Thackeray has finished a marathon, and she's won a marathon. Houston 2:24:17. It's just all the things we want to see, really, isn't it?
Just great. Like, just, to have that sort of positive experience. Because she did the Honolulu Marathon as well a few weeks. Yeah, it was DNF in Chicago, wasn't it? And then just to come back with two positive experiences. And she's still learning the event. Like, she's still not done that many marathons. So I feel like she had taken the learnings from the DNF. Like, that would have taught her a lot. And then to come back with this 2:24 here in Houston and such a respectable time. I think that's going to be a great kind of 6 months of learning, especially off the track experiences as well in the summer.
It's one of those things we talked about before as well, how marathon is a difficult one because you can train for such a long time for it. You put so much effort in, you make so many sacrifices. And then if it goes wrong, you have to wait ages to physically be able to do one properly again. So like it's one of those ones where I think it feels like she might be someone who really gets a lot of confidence from this. I think like to be able to park the disappointments from last year, and she can start her year with this huge positive and go into another major marathon, whatever that might be next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Right, you lovely lot. I think we're going to leave it there, are we?
Yes.
I think we probably should leave it there.
I love we said today, we'll do a snappy episode. Classic.
You two have got 10,000 other sports to research as well, and I've got some jet lag to deal with, so I think we've done very well.
And a child.
And a
I don't know
child.
which is worse, really.
Combination's not the one, but it's been good. It's been fine so
But at least
far.
you're all not ill anymore, so that feels good, right?
Yes.
Yet.
So I've been on a load of flights. Nancy's gone back to nursery. The clock is ticking.
Oh, it's coming.
It's coming for me.
Before we go, it's obviously people are training for a marathon this year. There's spring marathons, London marathons coming out, Brighton Marathon, Manchester Marathon in terms of the UK ones. And just to mention as well that Morton, we have a new voucher code. So if you've been listening to some of our previous episodes, then there's a new one to use, Podium 2026. All one word at morton.com. You get 15% off one-time purchase, so you can get all of your fueling products that you need, your gels, your drinks, your bottles. It's not bad on bicarbs. If you're going to go and try and smash an 800 meters somewhere, then you're going to have to pay full price for that. But if you are training for long distances, then Morton is your place. Podium 2026, all one word.